Hey, Crush family. My name is Isaac Reyna from Clovis Community College, and this is our second episode of Good Vibes podcast. In recent events, we are dedicating this episode to highlighting resources and ways we can help those who have been affected by the Creek Fire and those who are protecting the foothills. We're coming together to help one another. Thank you for watching and enjoy. Welcome, everyone, to our second Good Vibes podcast. My name is Isaac Reyna from Clovis Community College, and we are excited to join today Addie. Hi, Addie. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Isaac. How are you?
I'm doing so good, so wonderful. I feel so well rested. I don't even know if that's so well rested is a sentence, but
Oh, it is, and
it
it's
is,
rare.
it is rare, yes. So, hi and happy good vibes. Thank you for joining me today for our second episode of Good Vibes Podcast. And thank you all for who are tuning in today to show and to see this beautiful Good Vibes Podcast. Today we do have Addie from the Tutorial Center. So, Addie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name's Adelaide Mitchell, but I go by Addie most of the time, and I'm one of the coordinators here at the Tutorial Center. And as you know, we're not in person right now, but I'm here, and everything in the Tutorial Center right now is online. So I help coordinate the online Tutorial Center. And yeah, I'm just here to speak on behalf of a couple people in our center who were affected by the fires.
Fantastic. Thank you. Addie is an amazing person inside and out. She's always has good vibes, and we thought she was the best person to come on today. And just like you mentioned, from our personal conversations, we've been talking about the creek fires and how horrendous it's affecting not only the community, but personally our students, our staff, and faculty. And it sounds like there was one student in particular that you know personally. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not here because I'm an expert on disaster relief by any means, but one of our tutors, we have a staff of about 40 tutors, and one of our tutors was evacuated from his home, went up to Washington where he had some family, came back down a week later and encountered a CHP officer as he was trying to check on his home. And the CHP officer told him it would be an absolute miracle if his home were still standing.
Wow.
So he took that news in, and he didn't have his outdoor cats with him, and it was a tough time. He found out a week later that his house made it. So thankfully his house came through. He found his cats covered in ash and starving, but they were alive. Yeah, and he did lose his mom's house, which was about a mile away. So he was absolutely directly affected, as was one of our coordinators. In addition to that tutor, one of our coordinators has a little newborn baby, and he's been under threat of evacuation this entire time. So having two people here in the tutorial center so closely affected made the rest of us want to learn a little bit more about how we could help.
Most definitely. I can only imagine what that student and people are going through in their homes, their animals, their families, friends, colleagues. The creek
Absolutely.
it's just emotional turmoil that's going on, and I think when I last read, it was more than 250,000 acres that have been burning, and it's about a little over 25% contained. Um,
Yes. But
so
thank goodness I think it's up to about 32.
it's about 32. Okay,
Up to
fantastic.
about 32, but there's a ways to go. And yes, like you said, I think someone told me it's the California's largest single burning fire in our history, because a lot of fires combine, two combine, and that
Sure.
makes a large fire. But this is a single burning fire, and like you said, it's enormous. I think it's almost at 300,000 acres.
Wow,
I know,
that's that's huge. That's huge.
huge. Yeah.
Wow. Addie, you are so passionate about the Creek Fire, and you've had a huge concern for the community. What are some resources we can be aware of?
Oh, yeah. So when it first started happening, I don't know if you know, Isaac, but right near our college, there was the evacuation center right across the street at Clovis Hills Church and Clovis North. And so I was able to stop by there and see the charging stations and the food trucks, and there were churches out there with tents for prayer. It was pretty neat to see the community come together in that way. I have heard that Clovis Hills used to be kind of the landing spot for all of these donations and supplies, and that they have since moved it to Prather, closer to the fires. And I hear that it's in the Sierra Unified School District. I believe at the high school is where they're having the new landing point for supplies.
Mhm.
But I've learned a couple of other things as well. So
You sure?
yeah, sure. So in Prather at the Ace Hardware, they are trying to collect specifically cleaning supplies and food, non-perishable food, because as some of the restrictions ease and some people can return to their homes, they're coming back to spoiled food, and everything's covered in ash. And so they need to clean, they need to restock their food. And a lot of them, I mean, their finances are depleted because they were in the hotel for so long.
They need to
And
start
I mean, think of
fresh.
how expensive that is. So absolutely. So I believe they're still accepting things like gift card donations as well.
Mhm.
Um, Gas cards to Target, Walmart, grocery stores, things like that. Um, and then of course you have information about what the students can do, right? Where this if
Mhm.
students were affected, right?
Yeah, so if students were affected, they were sent an email. There was a pool. The first round of pools was we pulled the zip codes, and we had emailed them if they needed how they were affected by the fires and what type of services do they need. So that was the first round. There's also if you go to our website cloviscollege.edu, and if you've been affected by the creek fires, please go to our website and click on the creek fire resource banner. Also, we had about $1,000 in donations from the Creek Fire Drive of goods and supplies that we had for a week here, where
Awesome.
people coming in our roundabout and dropping off some goods and supplies, and that was $1,000 for that week. I don't know the exact number of the donations for the Creek Fire through the website donations. I hope to get that by the end of today, hopefully. But yeah, that's some of the resources that we've been provided. And Clovis Community College jumped on the ball right when we found out that weekend. We had administration on call that weekend. We had to set up the drive. We were informed how we can help. So that's just some of the ways that we've been able to help.
That's awesome. That's what I was going to say is a couple of wonderful landing points on the internet to get you to these services. I would say first and foremost our site, because right across the main page is Creek Fire, how to get help, how you can help. And ABC 30 has a wonderful launch page as well, where you can find out, again, ways to help if you want to help with the fire or if you need help. And then I was directed by the coordinator I mentioned earlier to a Facebook page of Nathan Magzig
Mm.
on the board of supervisors. And he has been an incredible resource for people. He does these live videos, to show the different services, and he's very responsive. I asked him a question about something and he got right back to me. And something that he highlighted just this week is that in Clovis, if you're somebody in Clovis who has been displaced or has been affected at all by the fires, the Veterans Memorial Center is where they're holding what we call the LACA, Local Assistance Center.
Mhm.
And he walked around, did the Facebook Live, and showed that the DMV and government services were there. There were computers with Wi-Fi and printing.
And
There
everyone just
were,
rallying together and
yeah,
supporting these people.
social services. I mean, there's so much there to help. And it's actually open 7 days a week, 8 a.m., I think, till 7, I think
Okay.
to 7 p.m. And I
And
think
we'll
they're going to
definitely
keep
put this,
that.
yeah, and we'll put all
Yeah.
this information down below, and so we
Oh,
can
that'd be
have that
amazing.
in the channel.
Awesome. Yeah. So those are just a few different ways that you can either get connected with resources or help. And I mentioned the ABC 30 page. They actually have a fair number of ways to help with animals, because so many
Oh,
large
that's right,
animals
the
have
animals.
been displaced. Yes. So there's, I think, 5 different links on that page that have to do with donating financially or volunteering your time if you can. And then they need feed and supplies for the animals. So if you're somebody who has access to that, that would be another way to give. And then the last thing I want to mention was I was looking through all of these things is I found um, a donation site called Flag, Flag,
Okay.
and I believe that is put on by community medical centers. That is
Wonderful.
specifically to feed first responders,
Wow.
firefighters,
They need to be fed. They
CHP.
need to have energy. They need to have,
Too.
they're right there in the fires.
Oh my gosh, it is not easy work, and they need to
Thank
be
you, by the way. Thank you
hydrated.
to those firefighters.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, can I shout out my cousin? My cousin's a firefighter doing
Yes.
doing the Sequoia fire, and his name's Jacob Donald. So shout out to him. And he
Shout
says
out.
that this is not a cushy gig fighting those fires. And yeah, they need, in addition, other first responders, right? If there's medical, if there's National Guard, CHP, they all need to have fuel to be able to fight these fires. So Flag, the wonderful way to donate.
Flag. Remember that, everyone. Wow, what are some great, these are great resources where the community is rallying together, supporting families that have been affected, supporting these firefighters that are trying to put out these fires. Like you said, this is a huge and one of the biggest ones in history, affecting so many lives. And
Yeah.
the community is coming together to rebuild, to replenish, to lean on those who may need some help right now. And there are so many people that need our help and our support, and we are here with you. I think you were telling me there's this hashtag. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. So, hashtag Mountain Strong is what the mountain communities are using to show love and support to each other and show people coming together in the face of this. So, if you witness anything or involved or anything and use the hashtag Mountain Strong, other people can see the wonderful work that you're doing. And you can also just browse it if you want to see the ways in which the community is helping each other.
Mountain Strong. We are here with you. We are going to be strong together. If you, again, are a student been affected by the fires, please go to our website, click on the banner, and we'll get you the resources as quickly and as possible. But we're here supporting you. Thank you so much, Addie, for joining me. Thank you to Jade, our interpreter here.
Thank you,
Um,
Jade.
we have many more good vibes to come. And again, what better way to have you, Addie, on here and spread good, positive vibes and light. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Isaac. I appreciate it. You're doing such a good job with the podcast.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Okay, you too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hi, Crush family. My name is Jessica. I'm a student ambassador here at Clovis Community College studying psychology. And I am so excited because today I have Lori Wilson, and she's coming with us from the Red Cross organization. Lori, would you like to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm the executive director for the American Red Cross for our Central Valley chapter, which means I am responsible with my team for the 5 counties, Mariposa, Madera, Fresno, Tulare, and Kings, which means, essentially everything that's on fire. And, I lived here a little over a year, almost a year and a half, moved from Alaska, where I been with the Red Cross for 5 years prior to moving. So I've been with the organization for a while. Loving living here. I do not miss the cold at all. So yeah, and I have 2 daughters, one who's still in Alaska and one who's here with me.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So can you tell us some of the things the Red Cross has been able to do for the Creek Fire evacuees?
So the Red Cross, we have, when everything happened, we were in the response. So we're responding, getting people into safe shelter, getting people working on safe shelter, feeding needs, care, comfort, and figuring out any other needs they might have. So what that looks like in COVID, normally it would be a congregate shelter where we would be in a big room.
Mm-hmm.
And big gym, and you'd have cots everywhere. This year, because of COVID, we set up evacuation centers, and people would go there where they could register with us, and we would get them into hotels. So we have people in, well, I think we're down to 36 hotels. We were up to 50 hotels between Mariposa and Tulare counties. But that was it's hard because they're so spread out, but by the same token, we know that we're keeping them a little safer from spreading COVID. Then providing food and support, and then reaching out through our medical, our disaster health services and our mental health folks to make sure that they're doing well, make sure that any of their needs, if they forgot or left or needed a replacement of any medical equipment, medications, things like that. And then now we're starting, as the evacuation orders are being lifted, we're starting to move into the recovery stage. And that is figuring out what are the barriers that people might have to returning home if the evacuation's been lifted. And if they've lost their homes, what is it we need to do? What resources do we need to get them connected with so that they can start rebuilding their life?
Wow, so you guys are so involved in everything that's been going on. It's really great to hear. So how has the community been able to assist the Red Cross?
So, we can't do it alone. So we have everyday volunteers that are coming in. They might just work a 4-hour shift here, a 4-hour shift there. They might help with, yesterday we had people coming and building fire kits. And those fire kits basically are, they put together 500 between yesterday and today fire kits. And what those are, they are totes that contain PPE. And then there's a sifter, a wood box sifter, rake and shovel for people who are going back to their home but know that they've lost it, and so they can, if there's anything that they can possibly recover, and they can use that to help them. And so the PPE is to help keep them safe, because there's a lot of toxins in the ash from their home. So we've been doing, so there are people helping with that. We've had partners, churches who have taken, stepped up, and they took in all of the donation of goods, sorted it, organized it, distributed it. So, and then just people helping them, from partners with feeding to it's just, it takes a whole community, and they've really stepped up. The offers of help are a lot. And sometimes, we might not need it right at that moment, but now, we're moving into the next stage, and we might. So it's, it's just out there, and we know that we have a community that's going to step in when we need them.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. I know personally I've seen a lot on social media of seeing different parts of the community and different organizations really coming together during these times. And it's really beautiful to see amidst everything going on. So what are some ways that people can still help? Like if they haven't been able to yet, like if they wanted to start, where would they begin?
Actually being a volunteer, because we're running a very large disaster, very lightly staffed, because we have fires all up and down the coast, and we have hurricanes. So we are competing with a lot of disaster. It's been a very big year, and we're only in the beginning of fire season. So consider being a volunteer and helping. And being a part of, we have need with, like I say, there's shelter volunteers, there's office workers, there's, sometimes it's just doing the physical stuff. Sometimes it's just filling a shift here or there, making sure that we have different needs as they arise, working at a distribution point to hand out the supplies and the water to people. So there's a lot of ways you can help that doesn't have to be a huge time constraint. And then, of course, financial donations. I know that's not what everybody always wants to hear, but the reality is that it's what allows us to do what we do. We are not a government organization. Most people think that we get a lot of government funding, and we really don't. We get very little, in fact. So it's what we do because of the generosity of people, and individuals, corporations, foundations. And that's why we're able to help, and that's why we're able to provide safe shelter. So those are the two ways you can help. Otherwise, get connected with some of the other resources, the food banks and the Catholic Charities and the Salvation Armies and the other partners that we use and work very, very closely with, because as this happens, as we move forward, we're all going to be involved at some level with making sure that our community is able to recover.
Yeah, the work that you guys do is so amazing, and it's really needed during these times. So thank you so much for sitting with me, being able to answer some questions, just to raise some awareness about what we can do in the community. So again, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.